Greetings, my fellow film lovers and sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning to LL3-Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful realms of planet Earth. Today's date is Sunday, February 9th, 2025. This is episode 1809. The Baltimore plot to kill Lincoln. Trump threatened aid cuts and beyond executive orders. Before I proceed, you can find me on multiple social media sites and podcast channels. Just type in Looky Luck number 3, Looky Luck Roman number 3 with 3 eyes, or the Looky Luck Roman number 3 podcast. Furthermore, if you have any questions, comments, recommendations, etc., whatever you do, please use decorum. Send it to via email, ll3.podcast@proton.me. If you want to donate, go to paypal.me, cash.app/Loki Luck number 3. If you want to support me on Steemit, go to @LL3-Podcast, which is mainly crypto and all that good stuff. You can find me at other sites as well, so check it out. Observe responsibly. Oh my goodness. Well, everyone's having a cow as usual. Complaining, whining, not doing anything about it. Reminds me of the time when reading the Bible about Moses' followers were in the desert for 40 years and complaining to Moses on a lot of stuff, and all care about is their material things, you can say, more metaphorically speaking. Doesn't matter who's in there, right? They don't not seeing the bigger picture. A lot of technocracy going on, foreign influences. Oh, yeah. Even in the Trump administration. And if you call it out, they try to label you anti-Semitic. I'm sorry, it's just very comical. Even on Facebook, all the beakerzords are out there. These are the ones I get along with. Posting stuff from Occupy Democrats and all these charlatan links. And the whole truth of the matter is, folks, if you're going to be critical, have merit, don't be a parrot. Of course, the U.S. aid thing being frozen, everyone and people are complaining about that. One person made a post. Oh, the children be starving now. Hey, the question is, Junior, was there any wars going on in those jurisdictions? Remember Ethiopia? Feed the world? Talk about the Ethiopian drought and all that? They've been having civil wars. Look it up. Think about it. Everyone jump on that bandwagon since Trump came in. Before that, it was crickets. Can we say double speak, double standards? Absolutely. Very comical indeed. That's what happens when you proclaim yourselves as a faction slave. Yes, master, whether it's red or blue, everything is awesome. Everything is awesome. You're on the shitty team. Oh, my goodness. It is funny. I remember I did a post. I saw a nice little post, a parody, satire, Trump, and Netanyahu on the beach. Of course, Netanyahu was wearing a bikini top. Gaza Riviera. Been talking about making a place to condos, create jobs and all that. But when you bomb the crap out of people that have nothing to do with the war, is that okay? Is that patriotic? These people still buy the October 7th official narrative? Come on. It's too obvious. Innocent people from both sides felt the effect, including the Israelis. And Peter, and they go, oh yeah, don't say that. Yeah, I can. I can say what the hell I want. Can't tell me what the hell to think or speak. People try to do that and they fail, including paper tiger activists out there. You don't know about human rights. I've been doing it way before your parents had sex and made you. Grow up. Yeah, I was just going through here on Censor.news, Farmer Tool, Elizabeth Warren, corruption exposed, written by X-Community Notes. Attorney General Alan Wilson leads coalition of AG's investigation, Dr. Anthony Fauci's COVID-19 response. We already knew people were getting paid to monitor and run sign-up campaigns on Gab and 4chan, but we now have definite proof. I like Gab, don't get me wrong. And I know about these bogus ads. I don't even pay attention to them. I'm trying to say, think this, think that. Nah, doing my own free will. Andrew Tolbra. All right. But it's happening everywhere, folks. They couldn't get it in the mainstream idiot box. Internet. Like other areas, they had those hit those other avenues. Trump signed executive order to sanction ICC over Netanyahu arrest warrant. Why? Sorry about that. Ex-USA director exposes deep-rooted corruption and waste. Spain, Ireland fire back at Israel, suggesting they should take in Palestinians forced out of Gaza. How about you do it yourselves? Stop being the dictator. You're not our fathers. Hell with you guys, man. Yeah, John Jay and Washington warns about the dangers of foreign powers and influences. And many of these American people aren't really thinking about it, right? Oh, man. Natural news. Trump sues DOJ. Trump DOJ sues Chicago and Illinois over sanctuary laws, citing public safety risk. I think the people in Illinois need to keep the right and bear arms, which is in their own state constitution. Who cares what that lard-ass R.J. Rinsker has to say? Or Governor Rinsker, yeah. And his sidekick, goofball attorney general. You have natural rights to defend yourselves in the land of Lincoln. The laws they try to put on you guys are void and without force, impairing contracts. Start reading, no more bitching, and start executing. Don't be one of those, me. I could go now. Mexico's more freer than the United States. What the hell you been doing all your lives? Watching garbage and being told by your status priests and pastors that sold their soul to the U.S. government? Okay, I'll do you say, boss. Stop being a bunch of illiterates. All News Pipeline says here, AMP readers' images that show of food shortages are not over by a long shot and will not be in the near future. Start decentralizing. I'm not saying it's easy. SHTFplan.com. White House terminates all media contracts. Yeah, that's the case. Good. I like that. Daily Bell. Great Bangkok Smog Wars. Graphic cute. So, interesting there. And of course, 100% fed up. U.S. base. Military base, potential to have name changed. Came out from Survival News. Elon Musk said he would rehire Doge whiz kid who resigned over edgy tweets. And let me see here. Ooh. Strange sounds. Always bad when governments and organizations start wiping data. And, of course, Zero Hedge, what does national security have to do with soaring defense spending? That's right. Good question. I like that. Modernity. Democrat representative sterilized herself to protest Trump. Well, you're too damn ugly, and you think it's great? Yeah, right. Pathetic over Trump. I'm going to sterilize myself to protest Trump. Shut up. There's multiple ways to skin the cat. Big league politics. President expects significant development in the Ukraine war. That's February 1st. And the American dream. Democrats cry as liberal supply chains are wiped out in their favorite multi-billion dollar money machine. Okay, let me see here. Elon Musk shared photo appearing to show golden pager gift from Netanyahu on Trump's desk. Information liberation. And just news. All the tax cuts likely be included in Trump and GOP's forthcoming reconciliation bill. Middle East eye. Saudi Arabia blasts Netanyahu's call for Palestinian state on its land. Law enforcement today. TDA gang member, Colombian national arrested for murder, awaiting extradition to Florida. This one kept on the 7th. New York sheriff who released violent illegal immigrant may find himself a target of DOJ investigation. Daily reckoning, silver squeeze, market manipulation, the coming storm. The gray zone. Why do Republicans fund transgender dance in Bangladesh? Good point. Article 1, Section 7, right? The House has the power to hold the purse, to control the purse. So that's the U.S. Constitution. You got Republicans that vote for that too. All this. That's what happens when you get all the crap stacked in of bills, you know. And even Donald Trump signed some of those. People try to defend. He can't defend that. I'm sorry. That's a no-no. People try to defend people. I'm just hearing too many piss poor excuses. Water down our Constitution. We gotta restore our Constitution. Donald Trump's gonna save us. Oh, I can't do it myself because I'm a whiner. I want to stick my thumb up my butt. Well, cut it out. Israeli troops begin withdrawal from strategic Nazarene corridor in Gaza. That's the cradle. And Trump revokes security clearances of more former and current officials at NTD. Breitbart, police, woman/boyfriend's neck in fight over wedding plans. All right, let's see here. Mises Institute, Eric Bremen explains for the Free City of Prospera. I'm going to check that out. Oh, yeah. But this is from Censor.news. Good stuff out there. So I always enjoy going through multiple things instead of watching the idiot box. Always observe responsibly as usual. All right, cool. So first thing I'm going to be reading here. I know it's Lincoln's birthday's coming up a few days from now. That will be on a Wednesday. All right, it says here, Baltimore plot to kill President-elect Lincoln. An excerpt from Dixieland Deceive, realnewsandhistory.com. January, February 1861, Knights of the Golden Circle plot to kill President-elect Lincoln. Recall that President-elect Abraham Lincoln's two predecessors, Franklin Pierce and James Buchanan, were both fortunate enough to survive a pair of deadly incidents preceding their own inaugurations, with Pierce seeing his son decapitated during a train derailment and Buchanan surviving the National Hotel disease, which sickened him but killed his nephew and many others. Baltimore, Maryland was a deeply divided city where North and South blended. Lincoln, during a whistle-stop tour en route to the inauguration, was scheduled to stop in Baltimore, just 40 miles from Washington. A nurse named Dorothea Dix relayed rumors of a conspiracy to kill Lincoln to the attention of Samuel Morse Felton, president of Philadelphia, Wilmington, and Baltimore Railroad. Upon hearing Dix's report, Felton took the precaution of contracting railroad detective Alan Pinkerton, founder of the legendary Pinkerton Detective Agency. Pinkerton gathered some of his best detectives to aid with investigating this matter. They then traveled to Baltimore. Pinkerton and several of his agents infiltrate the meetings of the Knights of the Golden Circle, the dark conspiratorial force animating the emerging Confederacy. They learned that KGC planned to assassinate Lincoln when he arrived at the Baltimore train station on February 23rd. As the Pinkertons were uncovering the conspiracy, General Winfield Scott, who was in charge of Lincoln's safety, also learned about the threat from his own sources. Scott that then warned Lincoln's future Secretary of State, William Seward, of the danger. Or Seward. Yeah, Seward. On February 21st, Lincoln's train arrived in Philadelphia, where an estimated 100,000 people welcomed him as his carriage rode through the city. After arriving at his hotel late that evening, Lincoln received a note to urgently go to the room of his advisor, Norman Judd. When Lincoln entered Judd's room, he was introduced to Detective Pinkerton. Lincoln listened intently as Pinkerton told him that when his train pulled into Baltimore, a mob of radicals armed with guns and bombs would be waiting to murder him as he changed trains. Pinkerton urged Lincoln go directly to Washington, D.C. that night. While Lincoln was concerned, he said that he would consider the warning but made no change of plans just yet. But before Lincoln could go to bed that night, Frederick Seward, the son of William Seward, arrived bringing a letter from his father that told of General Scott's warning. The second warning, issued independently of Pinkerton's, convinced Lincoln that the threat was real and that he should take the necessary precautions. The following day, still in Philadelphia, Lincoln and his advisors met again with Pinkerton and devised a plan to take a secret train into Baltimore. Instead of Lincoln taking his scheduled train the next day, Pinkerton immediately transported him to a different station with an earlier train heading toward Baltimore. Pinkerton and Lincoln donned a disguise as they departed. The nearly empty night train arrived at 3:30 in the morning of what was have to been the fateful day of Lincoln's murder, February 23rd. The most dangerous leg of the secret trip still lay ahead. To reach their final destination, the president-elect had to ride in a carriage to another Baltimore train station over 1 mile away to catch a final train to D.C. Ultimately, the crew arrived safely at 6 in the morning. When it was learned that Lincoln had arrived in D.C. after skipping through Baltimore in the wee hours of the morning, elements of the hostile Democrat propaganda press mocked him and attacked his masculinity, with cartoonists portraying a disguised Lincoln sneaking into D.C. According to Pinkerton, the ringleader of the KGC Baltimore plot was an Italian named Capriano Ferrandini, who immigrated from his native Corsica to Baltimore in the early 1850s. He worked as a hairdresser and barber, but was president of the pro-Confederate National Volunteers, and previously traveled to Mexico to stir up pro-Confederate secession activities there. Ferrandini had international intrigue written all over him, and he was connected to several high society types in Baltimore. Lincoln must die! Ferrandini, a terrorist radical from Italy. In Pinkerton's 1883 memoir, The Spy of the Rebellion, he recounted a covert meeting with the ringleader, Ferrandini. Pinkerton, uncovered, of course, attended a meeting chaired by the Italian radical. When one of the plotters asked, "Are there no other means of saving the South except by the assassination of Lincoln?" Ferrandini, according to the Pinkerton, replied, "No, he must die, he shall, and if necessary, we will die together." As anyone familiar with the numerous in broad daylight bomb, knife attacks on European kings, presidents, and prime ministers of that era knows, these radicals didn't care about being caught or killed in the process of their dirty deeds. acts which came to be known as propaganda of the deed. Google that term and see the question is who at the top of the pyramid unleashing those spontaneous, suicidal fanatics. Italy at the time was a hotbed of revolutionary secessionist, nationalist activities involving fanatical secret societies serving invisible masters. The fact that is, Corsican barber, not even an American for 10 years yet, was so active in and passionate about the tearing apart of the Union marked yet another fingerprint linking the true origin of the Southern Confederacy to Europe. And players such as certain Freemasons and, of course, the affiliated Rothschild cabal. The Bloody Barber of Baltimore was questioned by a congressional committee in February 1861. When asked about the assertions made about his plot, Ferranini maintained that he sought only to keep Union troops out of Baltimore. For the lack of hard evidence, he was not charged. Ferranini would be arrested during the coming war, but was quickly released. He continued to work in Baltimore as a barber until he retired in the 1870s. He died in 1910. It is most disappointing, though not at all surprising to witness so many modern-day historians still discount the Baltimore plot as conspiracy theory with no hard evidence. In doing so, they have chosen to take the word of an admitted political radical who was not even an American over the testimonies of General Scott, Detective Pinkerton, and several other detectives who worked on the case. Even though most historians probably take the pro-Union position and rightly admired Lincoln, the deadly sin of engaging in conspiracy theory must never be committed in quackdamia. You see, once the people go down that route and begin to understand that conspiratorial activity has actually always been and continues to be standard operating procedure of the ruling class of any given historical period, and too many embedded lies about so many other events, including contemporary stuff, are placed at risk of being re-examined and exposed. For this reason, the usual suspects who control education will only always promote coincidence theories. You can buy his stuff too, by the way, so very interesting. That's what you got to look at, all sides the best you can. And there are times I made on my shows, I'm very critical of Lincoln on his centralized practices and so forth. But he had adversaries that are gunning for him too. And I'm not saying I'm defending him as a whole, but it's a lot more complex than what it is. Actually, the people who won that war between the states were the banksters, as far as I'm concerned, the Rothschilds. And this is why you gotta be careful the dangers of foreign powers and influences, just like Ferranini here. And it's happening right now in front of our eyes. Doesn't matter if it's red or blue. You see technocracy now. It's a big history lesson. If we don't learn from the past, my friends, we're damned to repeat it, right? It's from the book Dixieland Deceived. Yeah, check it out. I bought the PDF format, so I'm going to learn a lot more. Hey, never stop learning. You can understand why corruption always exists. Well, I'm going to do this next one here. Originally published via Armageddon Press. The Daily Bell share this. Trump spotlights South African attempted white genocide threatens aid cuts. Came out yesterday by Ben Barty. Growing up, I learned in public school probably some mandate from the soon-to-be History Department of Education, Ishala, that South African apartheid was basically the worst thing since the Third Reich. Then I learned independently that white African farmers grow the vast majority of crops that sustain the country. 90%, as a matter of fact, even with rampant land theft in the name of equity. Then I learned independently what happened to Zimbabwe when all the whites were run out of town on a rail. Remember, a lot of black farmers, too, got chased out also. So just to let you know. Land expropriation, a euphemism for stealing white farmers and giving it to blacks, who then turn it into an inarable desert because they don't know how to cultivate. Has been a well-established practice since the communist Nelson Mandela's African National Congress, ANC, party took over in 1994. Ooh, yeah. All right. You're racist for saying that. Boo-hoo. Get a grip, folks. This is from via Republic of South Africa, emphasis added. Section 25 of the Constitution recognizes expropriation as an essential mechanism for the state to acquire someone's property for a public purpose or in the public interest, subject to just and equitable compensation being paid. Up to now, expropriation of property has been governed in terms of the Expropriation Act of 1975, which predates the expropriation mechanism provided in the Section 25, subsection 2 of the Constitution. The bill assented to by President Ramaphosa outlines how expropriation can be done and on what basis. This law will assist all organs of state, local, provincial, and national authorities to expropriate land in the public interest for varied reasons. Local, provincial, and national authorities will use this legislation to expropriate land in the public interest for varied reasons that seek, among others, to promote inclusivity and access to natural resources. Far more egregious than land theft, though, is the extrajudicial racialized killing of white farmers, cheerlead in the most explicit terms by the ruling ANC and similar parties, via Newsweek 2018. Yeah, can we say apartheid 2.0? I do. Lobbying group Afroforum say that when lawmakers passed a motion last month which could see land being seized from farmers without compensation, it's a message that landowners could be attacked with impunity. It said there have been 109 recorded attacks so far in 2018 and 15 farm murders, meaning this year one white farmer has been killed every 5 days. In a statement, Ian Cameron, Afroforum's head of safety, said, "Our rural areas are trapped in a crime war. Although the South African government denies that, a violence crisis is staring rural areas in the face. The numbers prove that excessive violence plague these areas. The comrades even have a hymn to accompany their attempted genocide, belted out with gusto at a black communist gathering, Kill the Boer." Via Forbes added here, Kill the Boer, also known as Dubla Ebumum, hope I pronounced that correctly, was popularized in the early 1990s by Peter Makoba, the leader of the African National Congress, ahead of the end of the South Africa's racist apartheid system of racial segregation. In 2012, however, the ANC, a party previously led by Nelson Mandela, that has governed South Africa since the fall of the apartheid, vowed to no longer sing the song, following a controversy stemming from claims that the song was related to a series of violent attacks on white farmers, expelled Malema, and that the same year in an effort to erase racial tensions in the country. Malema had previously said he was prepared to kill for former South African President Jacob Zuma, although their relationship sourced after Zuma was sanctioned by the ANC in 2019. The EFF, which is now the third largest party in the country's parliament, behind the ANC and the Democratic Alliance, Last year, South Africa's Equality Court in Johannesburg ruled the song did not constitute hate speech or incitement after a case was brought by AfriForum, which advocates for South Afrikaners and the descendants of its Dutch colonizers, which argued the song incites violence and murder. The court ruled, however, the song was protected by freedom of speech, and that its lyrics, shoot to kill the Boer, kill the farmer, are not intended to be taken literally. This is a tired point to make by now, but it's never not a propos. If the shoe were in the other foot, the Boer farmers were out in the street chanting and dancing rhythmically to kill the Emma sentence, whatever you want to call it, tranny Antifa BLML activists from London to Brisbane to Berkeley will be rioting in full force, burning down buildings, kicking in the heads of statues for equity, progressive politicians clad in pseudo-African lion's cloth and solidarity would kneel the spectacle for cameras like it was in 2020. Yeah, that is true. Look what happened here with the whole George Floyd thing. Pathetic. Remember, George Floyd's death was self-inflicted. Continue on. Anyway, Donald Trump has apparently become the hip to the goings-ons and has threatened to cut all communist government funding until it stops promoting the eradication of a race that's fashionable to eradicate on the liberal and loving left. Via Associated Press says here, U.S. President Donald Trump said he will cut all funding in South Africa and has launched an investigation into the country's policies, claiming that a massive human rights violation against white people is happening over a new land exploration law. Trump made the pledge to stop all future fundings on his True Social platform on Sunday. South Africa is confiscating land and treating certain classes of people very badly. In South Africa, Trump wrote, a massive human rights violation at a minimum is happening for all to see without giving details for providing evidence. The United States won't stand for it. We will act. Trump added, also, I'll be cutting off all future funding in South Africa until a full investigation of the situation has been completed. It's funny because I've been learning about this 24 years ago. The first time I heard it was an interview from Rent, someone from Jerry Rent's radio show, and I looked into it. So somebody had a web TV of all things, and it was what I observed had a lot of merit. That's what I call apartheid 2.0. And here's the thing: after one group gets gone, who's going to be next? Remember, when it comes to tyranny, totalitarianism, it's like a cancer; it spreads. And you don't hear people talking about it. Yeah, I renounce that. I renounce what happened in Gaza. When it comes to genocide, democide, I condemn it with a passion. I've been doing it for a very long time, too. What do you know about human rights? I'm not like you. I'm not a beaker. I do things. Do my homework and all that good stuff. I'll just listen to bobblehead. And it's really chilling because one time, it was the St. James Church massacre that happened in July 1993. It was a mixed church, by the way. And they say 30 people died, 6, 7 were seriously injured. It could be maybe a little bit more than that. But it was over almost 1,000 people were in that church. It was mixed, too. So the people from the African National Congress don't care. Remember, when it comes to government, they don't care. Government's gone bad. Tyrants, totalitarians. I renounced the Boer genocide, and I petitioned that to end it around that time, 2020, about 23, 24 years ago. A lot of people didn't sign it, but you know what? I did. So I don't hear this ethno-privilege, all that garbage. That's all it is. Crap, as far as I'm concerned. And I was looking through the foreign assistance foreign assistance, .gov, according to 2024, the United States gives South Africa $23,415,440 obligated. All right? It's funny because he actually did some freezing on it, except for 3 countries, according to the American Free Press: Egypt, Israel, and Ukraine. And according to the site, so far from 2024, $6,351,762,653 obligated to Ukraine. Egypt, $214,962,195. And some people say the Suez Canal, which it makes sense. Trying to get something here. Hold on. A little bit of a delay. Israel. What? 4 million? Maybe more, for like 4 billion allegedly. That's interesting. Yeah, so a lot of things are happening. So just to let you know. So that's how much they'll be cutting. Hey, as far as I'm concerned, I oppose all foreign aid. Period. It should have never happened. And people say, "Oh yeah, but I'm living in one country." Shut up. So you donate your money. I shouldn't donate mine through coercion. All right. That's just my view on it. We're gonna do one more here. Came from American Greatness website. And it's right here. Ah, shoot. Hold on. I hate these ads. Beyond Executive Orders, a blueprint for America 2.0. It's from James Kenna. Came out today. Trump's push to downside of federal government is bold, but latest reform hinges on disciplined leadership, strategic triage, and execution, or else bureaucracy will outlast its efforts. The re-election of President Trump set in motion in a sweeping effort to downsize the federal government through a series of executive orders, spending freezes, and furloughs. The president invoked emergency powers to curb, profligate spending, restore individual liberties, and reclaim American sovereignty. However, executive orders are temporary, blunt-edged tactics that are prone to legal challenges and can generate operational chaos and public dissent. Trump's ability to deliver on his campaign promises hinges on how his administration manages this turbulence. To permanently downsize the federal government, the president must establish a comprehensive, disciplined approach with 3 key strategies: change-oriented leadership, effective triage, and robust implementation teams. Without these, the momentum created by the executive orders will fizzle into confusion, resistance, and eventual reversal. Trump learned from his first term that he needed stronger, more aligned leadership. This time, he has nominated cabinet members to share his vision, are not beholden to the swamp, and who are passionate about change. However, hiring a few top-level officials isn't enough. The federal bureaucracy is heavily guarded by entrenched special interests who have decades of inertia behind them. Real transformation requires changing the leadership at least 3 additional levels below the cabinet. The mid-level guardians of the old system must swiftly be replaced by leaders who are aligned with the vision and empowered to remove employees who resist reform. While downsizing the federal government, it's critical to distinguish between essential and non-essential functions. Some functions are necessary and must be preserved. Others have outlived their usefulness or are beyond the constitutionally limited scope of the Fed. Some may exist solely to funnel money to political cronies. A vigorous zero-based review of every function must be conducted by forensic audit teams. They must approach their task while deeply skeptical of the current state, recognizing that bureaucracies exist to perpetuate themselves and will fight to justify their own existence. The forensic team should follow some clear decision rules. Is function necessary or is merely an outdated program or a disguised slush fund? If it isn't necessary to eliminate it, should the function be handled by the federal government or should it be transferred to the state, local, or private entities? Is a function duplicated elsewhere in the vast federal bureaucracy? If so, consolidate it into a logical place. Is a function constitutional? If not, challenge it in court or work with legislation to eliminate it. The triage process is essential. One moment here. Not just to cut wasteful or inappropriate functions, but to ensure that the necessary functions operate more effectively. After the forensic auditors identify what must be cut, the real work begins. Downside, the biggest bureaucracy in the history of the world will be a monumental challenge. This demands the creation of a specialized implementation team to coordinate the thousands of downsizing tasks to make them permanent. A human resource team must coordinate the reassignment of or dismissal of many thousands of federal employees. This must be done professionally with fair severance packages. An asset disposal team must sell or repurpose the equipment, office furniture, and computers from the downsized offices. A real estate divestment team must terminate redundant leases and less idle properties. The liaison team must work with Congress to pass one-page single-issue bills when necessary. A judicial action team must defend the downsizing efforts against court challenges, pushing cases to the Supreme Court if necessary. These implementations will require robust coordination and support. An information technology team must provide a well-dissected data to enable all teams to make data-driven decisions. It will also have to manage all computer access lockouts and website modifications to do the downsizing. A project management team must set concrete goals for the entire effort, track progress, and hold every team accountable. A high-level leader, perhaps the vice president, must oversee the entire downsizing process, ensuring that momentum is sustained and obstacles are removed. A communications team must counter opposition and hysteria with clear, compelling narratives that explain the necessity and benefits of all changes. President Trump's initial executive orders have already triggered significant controversy and resistance. Without an organized, disciplined strategy, his vision will collapse under bureaucratic inertia, legal challenges, and media-fueled hysteria. The result will be chaos, paralysis, and likely reversals by future administration. This is a defining moment. President Trump has a golden opportunity to fundamentally reset the federal bureaucracy. The only question is whether the administration has resolve and the strategy to achieve it. Well, very good. Very good methodical information, you can say. Nothing's going to happen overnight, folks. It's got to be fully executed. Have all the merits. To say this is a sham. I recommend people reading the books from Martin L. Gross, Government Racket, Washing With from A to Z, Government Racket 2000, and Medical Racket. Because I got that one book. I bought it years ago. It talks about how only the monies that are in these federal departments are just 10% beneficial. The rest of it's just crap. So I'm not surprised what's been going on with the whole dojo deal. And, of course, with U.S. aid. They got some bad foreign policy concepts, okay? I've been reading about these things for years. Let's say I'm a genius and know everything. I just take this shit to look into it. To listen to a bunch of bobbleheads. Doesn't matter what paradigm. Foreign policy needs to be a lot better. And that's why, in good faith, I have to agree with gentlemen like Pastor Chuck Baldwin. Many of the people in the cabinet are Zionists. So, as like I said before, the dangers of foreign powers and influences, not being anti-Semitic, folks. We always got to watch out for these people. It's why whoever's in there, you got to watch them all. Always remain vigilant. Not like, everything is awesome. Everything is awesome when you're the winning team. That's meek. That's for dummies. Who's going to say, oh, yeah, that song will influence me 20 years from now. That song influenced me to do music. Please. I'll go to the bathroom. But, yeah, so it's going to be very interesting indeed. Pay attention, be vigilant. And think and act locally instead of having DC to do resolve your problems. Remember, DC stands for dysfunctional clowns. That's all I got to say. I would love to hear from you folks, all right? That is it. I'll thank everyone for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, recommendations, etc., wherever you do, please use decorum. You can send it to me at LL3-Podcast at proton.me. If you want to donate, go to paypal.me or cash.app/look3. Follow me at Steemit at LL3-Podcast. That's the crypto ordeal. I post stuff on there. And you can find me on other multiple social media sites. Just hit me, iHeartRadio, and I'm on even Odyssey, okay? I heard George Soros got that now. I'm like, a lot of stations, so I'm about to call his ass out on there too. I think it's great. And right now, everything else for me is pending. So, but like I tell people, observe responsibly. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Till next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.